Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching this video. Today, I'm going to talk about a project funded by the Pacific Earthquake Engineering Research Center. This project is named Bridge Corridors for Optimal Seismic Risk Management of Road Networks, and it was developed by me, Rodrigo Silva-Lopez, and Professor Jack Baker at Stanford University. As a motivation of this study, let's take a moment to reflect about the role that road networks take in our lives based on our daily activities. On any given day, we perform several activities. For instance, we go shopping, we drive to school. In this case, this picture of Stanford University, where I go to. We also go to the doctor if we have any doctor appointment or we need to go to the hospital, or we go to the office if we are required to work in person. Now, if you take a moment to reflect on these activities and the role that road networks play in our lives so we can develop these activities, we can think that if there were no functional roads, we could not get to any of these places. And therefore, our lives will be profoundly affected. Now, you can come and tell me, hey, Rodrigo, but actually I can work from home and then I can also shop online and a delivery service will deliver my packages without me moving from my place. Well, unfortunately, those delivery services also rely on our road networks, and your packages could not be delivered unless there is a functional road network that makes sure that that happens. Despite being so important, unfortunately, these systems are really vulnerable. If you Google the name of most big earthquake, most of the images will be related to bridge or road damage. For instance, if you Google Chile 2010, the images that will show are about this bridge that collapsed in northern area of the Santiago. You think about here in the San Francisco Bay Area, in 1989, we have the Loma Prieta earthquake, and one of the most infamous collapses was the Cypress Viaduct located on East Bay, in which unfortunately 42 people lost their lives. Given that these systems are so important, but they're vulnerable, decision makers and authorities are actually looking for efficient ways in which we can reinforce or retrofit our bridges and our road networks so we minimize the possibility of the events shown in this picture from happening. To that end, in this study, we propose that road networks, and in particular bridges, should be retrofitted in groups, which we define as corridors. Now, why corridors? Why groups of bridges? If you think about it, bridges actually work in groups. For instance, here we're showing an interchange in the city of Oakland, here in California. And you can see that, for instance, if this bridge collapses, then a bridge underneath that bridge would also experience damage. So you actually need to make sure that all these bridges that are connected or interlocated should work and to be functional after the earthquake, so they can still be working after such a disruptive event. To further illustrate what a corridor is, here I'm showing some results that we obtained for our testbed. In this study, we actually use the San Francisco Bay Area road network as a testbed. And to detect corridors, we use a clustering algorithm. Specifically, in this image, we're showing the road network of the city of San Jose located in the south extreme of the bay. Each dot is a bridge, and the color of a bridge defines a corridor. So, all bridges are assigned to corridors, but here we're highlighting 3 corridors: Corridor 1, Corridor 2, and Corridor 3. you can see that corridor 2, corridor 3 are a segment of the highway. And also, there are other corridors that are interchanged, just like the ones that I showed in the previous slide. Now, as I mentioned before, our authorities are thinking about the most efficient way possible in which they can allocate our resources so they can minimize the disruption of earthquakes. Thinking about that is that for this study, we propose an optimization to achieve that objective. Instead of going into detail about like how we implemented optimization, I want you to understand what's the philosophy that lies behind the optimization. And in that regard, what we want to minimize to be efficient is the cost of actions that you need to do in order to intervene the bridges or to retrofit or repair, for instance. And then when it comes to constraint, the optimization that we're proposing has two constraints. The first limits changes in travel time for specific locations, such as, for instance, between the San Francisco and Oakland, San Francisco and San Jose, and so on. And as a second constraint, in the same spirit of using corridors, we make sure that all bridges belonging to a corridor are retrofitted or reinforced at the same time. And with those two constraints, you manage to minimize the cost. In terms of results, after implementing that optimization in San Francisco Bay Area, here I'm showing a plot in which in the x-axis, you see the percentage of retrofitted bridges. In the y-axis, you see the mean annual travel time increase, which is a metric of performance. The bigger, the worse, because that means that it was more disrupted. And you're seeing three curves, each of them representing one strategy. The orange curve represents page rank for bridges, in which bridges were ranked according to their centrality. The green line represents an optimization that didn't use the second constraint of the corridors. That means you just retrofit individual bridges. And then the blue line is the line that we propose in this study, in which you group bridges according to their groups. As a conclusion, what I want you to understand is first, corridors capture realistic setups. You observe how through the clustering techniques that we proposed, we were able to identify sections from highways, important avenues, or interchanges. And then as a second conclusion, and most importantly, using a corridor support optimization minimizes traffic disruption due to earthquakes farther than other strategies. Of course, there are several details about this project that I didn't show in the video. So if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me on my email, rsilval@stanford.edu, or visit my website, www.rsilva-lopez.com. Right now, this study was written as a paper and is currently under review. Once it's accepted, the paper will be published also in my personal website. Thanks for watching this video. I'm looking forward to listening for your questions.